because Lisa, who does our booking,
Patriot,
posted the screenshots on X showing everything. And never was she offered money.
The influencers are fighting, and it's getting contentious. We're going to break this down, plus so much more, on today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast, my daily show where we take on the craziest ideas from across the internet and social media, all from an independent perspective. Up first, like I mentioned, we're going to talk about some influencer drama. The political influencers at each other's throats yet again, because they live for that and it's kind of mutually beneficial, actually. But today's saga features two interesting figures, both of whom I have interacted with once or twice. One is the MAGA YouTube star and streamer Tim Pool, who is huge on YouTube in particular and hosts debates and podcasts. I went on his podcast where he crashed out on me and said I was evil because I have different views on trade policy than him.
Brad is evil and accepts human sacrifice so that you can have a cheap iPhone. And if you're willing to buy a cheap iPhone knowing that people are committing mass, you stand along with them.
So I'm
and I will
evil
stand on the
because
other
I
side.
disagree with you about trade policy?
Because you think there's an acceptable degree of mass concentration camps so that your economy can improve.
I don't think that. You're shadowboxing with a caricature. The other influencer involved here is Olivia Juliana, who is a prominent Democrat talking head, I guess. I don't really know. She did have this unfortunate moment during, I think, the DNC National Convention. Take a look at this.
As the saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So Gen Z, let's take our seat in our democracy.
Anyway, Olivia and Tim are arguing online. And frankly, I think she lied about him. And while I'm not a big fan of Tim, I do care about truth and facts. And there's an interesting conversation to be had about this whole drama as well. So without further ado, let's take a look at our first clip here from Tim Pool's video explaining the situation.
I am emotionally triggered and personally offended and biased. I got this tweet. I tweeted this. 90% of liberals we try to book demand money. 0% of conservatives ask for money. In fact, conservatives sometimes drive themselves even though we cover travel and accommodation. Liberals are grifters. They don't care about ideas. They care about money, and they will say anything for money. And I believe it. But it is a reality that conservatives never ask for money. I think, to be fair, 0%, it might be 0.01%, because we may have had one personality who's not a conservative, but is a prominent, is like a celebrity who kind of agrees with Trump. So,
Okay, so we're going to get to the drama involving Olivia in just a moment, but I just want to say something about this really quick. It might be true, maybe I'll take at face value what he says, that in order to do his show, conservatives have not requested money and liberals have. I don't think you can extrapolate that to all conservative and all liberal influencers in the way that he's doing. You have a biased sample size there for sure. And the thing that's important to note about this is that doing Tim Pool's show is an extraordinary inconvenience. He is out in a very rural area, several hours drive away from DC. I went out there, and it's fine. That I appreciated the invitation. They do cover your travel, and they pay for you to have a hotel. But unless you're somebody who's going to benefit a lot from the exposure, which I think more conservative people would benefit more because the viewers are more likely to be interested in signing up for their podcast or watching their content, then yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the craziest thing that some liberal influencers would want to be paid for their time, because it takes at least a day to travel out there. Like, you're missing serious. I missed an episode of the podcast when I did it, and that's my main source of income. Now, I did not ask to be paid, but I'm just saying, I don't think it's the craziest thing if some liberals. And the other thing is, like, it's a more hostile experience for a liberal guest. They are putting themselves through more. He screams at people and crashes out on them, mostly liberals and progressives. And most of the time, he has conservative or right-leaning people on for friendly chat. So, yeah, I don't think it's actually that crazy that liberals would demand money. He doesn't have to pay them. I wouldn't really pay someone to come on a podcast, but I guess I think he's being a little disingenuous when he suggests that they must all be insincere for wanting money, and all these conservative people just are really committed to the cause. No, it's also easier for them to come on your show, and they'll benefit from it more. And liberals do shows like Fox News, or they do different podcasts and stuff all the time without being paid. So it's not as if they're all just for sale constantly, which is kind of what he suggested. But anyway, let's get into the heart of the beef here. First, though, do make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, comment, yada, yada, yada. Remember to send your voicemails for our Voicemail Friday episodes, where I react to your woke horror stories, give you advice on your personal lives, and answer any questions you guys have for me. The link to send in one of those is in the description. Now let's look at this next clip from Tim, where he gets into the beef with Olivia.
Anyway, here's what ends up happening. I tweet this. It's got 4,000 retweets, 811,000 views, because it's true, and even Bill Maher said the same thing. And everyone's favorite, Olivia Juliana, she is a liberal personality, tweeted 10,000 likes, and I'll post screenshots of Tim's team offering me money to collab with him. Because Lisa, who does our booking,
Patriot,
posted the screenshots on X showing everything, and never was she offered money. Hi, Olivia. Tim Pool is a new show, The Culture War, where two guests with opposing views. Hi, Olivia. The Temple is hosting an event July 26th in Washington, D.C. No offer of money. She said, hi, I have a prior familial obligations and will be unable to attend. Thank you for the invitation. Then an email. We would like to invite you to The Culture War, the Comedy Loft. No offer of money. And, excuse me, the other half of the email. Here's the date. Here's who's going to be there. Kat Timpf, Kyla Turner, Myron Gaines will be there. And then she even went further to include a text message with another staffer who said, we never offered her any money.
So here's the thing. She just lied. She has provided absolutely zero proof or receipts that he offered anyone money, that anyone from his team offered her money. And I think it's pretty bad to publicly accuse someone of lying, then like leverage, I'll release receipts if I get enough likes. By the way, if you're actually just going to say that they're lying, you should just provide proof. You shouldn't clout farm before you'll provide that proof. That's kind of gross. And then when she was pressured, she shared this tweet, which makes no sense. Here are the screenshots you posted, which offer to pay for all of my travel and accommodations, which is offering money. I didn't lie. You're just stupid, and clearly you wanted attention since you reached out like 5 times. I do not want to collaborate with you or Tiny Tim. She had written that in response to somebody who I think works with Tim Pool. So this is strange. Offering to cover someone's travel expenses is not the same thing as paying them to come on your show. And a content creator or political analyst should know that. It is extremely standard when you travel somewhere to go do someone's show that they cover the expenses. It's not remotely standard to pay them to appear on your program. So, yeah, you got caught in a lie, then shifted the goalposts, or maybe you have no idea how anything works. Either way, not a great look for Olivia here. And I will say there's something annoying when people act, a much smaller influencer like Olivia, acting like I'm not going to give you clout by participating in anything with you, to somebody with just like exponentially bigger audience and reach than them. Some of these people really do have delusions of grandeur, and Olivia appears to be no exception. I actually think she should do the show and should debate and should defend her ideas, but it doesn't really seem like she does that. I reached out to her about her coming on my channel a while back, didn't hear back. She doesn't seem to really engage with people. Now, I don't like the way that Tim engages at times with people, because he's very hostile and aggressive and angry and not often constructive, but at least he engages and invites a wide array of people onto his program. Olivia seems to live in an echo chamber, have an outsized sense of her own importance, and to seem pretty fast and loose with the facts and willing to lie about people and make professional accusations that aren't true. I think that is not cool. And that's my take, and I'm sticking to it. What do you guys think, though? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, like, yada, yada, yada. Now, up next, we got to talk about an update to the viral hate crime hoax that's sweeping the internet that we already covered on this show. So very tragically, a young black man passed away. He ended his own life at Delta State University a little while ago. And I covered it at the time, but all across TikTok, a narrative spread that he was lynched. You know, the traditional racist form of hanging that white people historically did to black people. An atrocity, a stain on our history, but thankfully not something that really is remotely common in modern America. But to a lot of people on the internet, they still think it is. So what then happened was that a bunch of misinformation spread like wildfire on TikTok and other social media platforms about the case of Trey Reed. And they actually suggested that when the campus police at a HBCU, a historically black college and university, including the black head of police, said there was no sign of foul play, when the county conducted an autopsy and found there was no sign that someone else had killed him, it was all like some sort of conspiracy or cover-up, as if an HBCU would want to cover up a hate crime against black people. Does not make sense. Well, thankfully, with the new information that's come out, people are realizing that they got ahead of their skis on this one, that this didn't really happen, and that they need to stop spreading fake stories and fanning the flames of the racial tensions and conflict in America. Just kidding. They are doing the opposite. So now, this week, the former 49ers quarterback, Colin Kaepernick, paid for an independent autopsy of Trey Reed. And now wild misinformation is spreading because of this. Here are two tweets. One person wrote, "A bold-faced lynching in 2025, and it didn't even really crack the mainstream news. America is always going to play to its true nature every time." That tweet has 2.5 million views. Well, no, it didn't crack into the mainstream news because it didn't happen. I don't know what to tell you. Mainstream outlets covered it. The New York Times covered it, but they covered what actually happened, not what y'all hallucinated. And this tweet, as you'll see, about the independent autopsy paid for by Colin Kaepernick is misleading because they're making some claims about what was found that are not accurate. Here's another popular tweet with over 2 million views. "They lynched a black man, and if it weren't for Kaepernick paying for a private autopsy, many would have believed the official statement. Police lie. Authority figures lie. We as people have to demand accountability." Yes, police, black police officials at HBCUs lie to cover up hate crimes against black people. That makes total and complete sense. But anyway, this story is circulating that now this new autopsy confirms what really happened to Trey Reed was this horrible lynching. And of course, that's not true. But here's a video from a popular TikTok creator spreading this misinformation. Take a listen.
So there has been an update on Trey Reed, the black man who was found hanging from a tree at Delta State University in Cleveland, Mississippi. Keep in mind that an autopsy was done by the county and his death was ruled a. However, there was a second private autopsy done, which was paid for by Colin Kaepernick, and these are the updates we have now. According to reporting from the Chicago Crusader, a second autopsy reportedly shows blunt force trauma to the back of Trey Reed's head that was not reported in the first autopsy done by the county. Scream if any of this information is surprising. Exactly. You see how it's as quiet as a J-Lo concert in here? I said it before and I will continue to say it. Black men do not hang themselves from trees. Hope this helps.
So the thing that's so interesting about this is that it is all false. And we know it's false because the new autopsy that Colin Kaepernick paid for hasn't been released. All these people are saying everywhere that they know what's in it. It was conducted and it found X, Y, and Z that contradicts what the county's autopsy found and what the police said, but none of them have seen it because it has not been released. So they don't know what's in it. And this has been reported by the Clarion Ledger. The second autopsy report for Trey Reed has not been released to the public. So where does all this speculation about what it says supposedly come from? A radical black activist third-hand account on a podcast. I'm not joking. The Clarion Ledger reports podcast spurs speculation. A new cause of death began circulating online October 2nd after Crystal Muhammad, the chair of the new Black Panther Party, discussed information about the second autopsy she said she received from Reed's mother on the Willie D Live podcast, which has more than 1 million YouTube followers. The Clarion Ledger's attempt to verify Muhammad's statements about the cause of death and condition of Reed's body have been unsuccessful because the autopsy report has not been released. And they remind us that the Delta State University police chief, Michael L. Peeler, who again is Black, said during a news conference that Reed died by suicide and there was no evidence of foul play. On September 18th, the Mississippi State Medical Examiner announced autopsy findings consistent with hanging and no foul play. Findings were consistent with the initial investigation, determining the cause of death to be hanging and the manner of death as suicide. Final toxicology reports are pending and may take 2 to 4 weeks to complete, the statement from the State Medical Examiner's Office said. So I find this really objectionable and concerning that you have these people pushing this wild conspiracy theory based on like third-hand hearsay and speculation from somebody who has not seen this supposedly different autopsy finding for herself. And people are out here spreading to millions of people on the internet that we're in modern America where Black people are being lynched. Do you not understand how reckless that is to do with no actual factual basis or information? Do you not understand how that inflames the tensions and could provoke violence, could provoke more hatred and animosity and division among the races in America? It's just when you have any kind of online platform like these Twitter users do, like these TikTokers do, you have an obligation to think about the impact of the things you're saying and to not just post random crap or jump on the most crazy conspiracy theories because it might get you clicks. Like you're poisoning the country. I don't think they realize this. This is just one example, but these kinds of things poison our country's political discourse. They put they put us at each other's throats over things that probably did not even happen. It's just doing a profound disservice to the people that follow you and listen to you, to be so fast and loose with the facts, to put such an agenda or ideology or narrative above the truth about what happened and what didn't happen. I don't know, man. I find it so depressing that this is where we're at, where this misinformation just spreads like wildfire. My video posted separately of this, fact checking this, will probably get thousands of views. These all have millions. And I don't know, millions of people walking around in America today will be convinced that a Black man was lynched in 2025, even though, based on all the available facts and evidence, no such thing occurred. What could go wrong? How could that possibly have any downsides? What a bleak information ecosystem we are living in these days, folks, if you ask me. That's my take on all this. You let me know what you think in the comments below. Do hit the like button to reward me for suffering through all this insanity. One final story from social media I want to talk about with you guys is a really strange Truth Social post. I'm going to call it a tweet. I know it's not technically Twitter, but I'm going to call it a tweet. Don't make me crash out. From Donald Trump, the president, where he seems to be confused, like very deeply confused in a way that I find concerning. So over the weekend, he posted to ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, Border Patrol, law enforcement, and all U.S. military. As per my August 25th, 2025 executive order, please be advised that from this point forward, anybody burning the American flag will be subject to 1 year in prison. You will be immediately arrested. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He sent this out Friday night, and I'm more than anything, I'm confused because presidential announcements or changes in law or a communication with different federal agencies or the military is not really typically done via social media or by tweet. And it's not like a legally binding order or instruction in any way. And you would kind of think that he would know that. But that's really only like the smallest piece of the puzzle of what the heck is wrong with this bizarre post. Because the big problem here is that that's not what his executive order says. I was critical of this executive order that Trump put out in August because he at the time was saying, oh, if you burn the flag, you go to jail for a year. But the actual executive order didn't do that. The actual executive order did not create a new federal crime for burning the American flag because the U.S. Supreme Court has repeatedly ruled that burning the flag is protected First Amendment expression, and you also can't create a new federal crime through executive order. You would have to pass a bill through Congress, which he did not do. So I'm just concerned that he has either no idea or is expressing disregard for how our system of government and laws works with this strange post. And then so what the actual executive order did was that it directed federal agencies to prioritize enforcement of existing laws against flag desecration when it overlaps with other violations like incitement to violence or public safety violations. It didn't make a new crime. You can't ban the flag and you can't burn the flag anymore, because if it did, it would be blatantly unconstitutional. It would be directly contravening a ruling of the Supreme Court, which of course is insane, and you can't just do that. So my main concern about this post, among honestly like many, is that he seems to think that his executive order he signed says something it did not. So then it's like, well, did you not read it? And they lied to you about what's in it? Or did they tell you what's in it, but you're just like detached from that reality in some sort of strange way? Like this kind of thing makes me question Trump's cognitive sharpness at his advanced age if he seems uninformed or confused about the context of the executive orders and the content of the executive orders he himself has signed. And regardless, you can't do this. Like if he actually thinks he's doing this, then he thinks he's engaging in what I would consider to be censorship, an attack on free speech. I don't support burning the American flag, but it is an act of symbolic expression the same way. And then people are like, oh, some people don't understand how free speech works. It's not literally just words, right? The same way the government can't ban you from holding a sign. Oh, but it's not speech. No, it's like an expressive act is considered speech under the First Amendment. And burning the flag sends a political message. As long as you own the flag, right? And as long as you're not violating neutral laws about burning things in public, it is legal. And if you were actually doing this would be censorship. This would be him cracking down on free speech of people criticizing the country. And you cannot do that in the United States of America. And I'm sorry, but like the military, the idea that the military would be enforcing that and arresting people is kind of disturbing. So I just think Trump needs to get a grip, give up this weird obsession with criminalizing flag burning. It's like fetch. It's not happening. And he needs to get on the same page with his team, because either through miscommunication or some sort of other disconnect, he's like unaware about the policies he's signing. And then he's publicly instructing the military to do things that aren't what his policies are, which I'm concerned by that. Call me crazy. What do you guys think of this? Let me know in the comments. And guys, that'll be it for today's episode of the Brad vs. Everyone podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Do make sure to subscribe. Please do rate and review if you're listening on audio podcasts. And we'll talk again real soon.